What's up, my friends, and welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live. I am putting Mr. Ken Ashley on the spot today. He is the author of The Prescription. He's been working in commercial real estate and beyond. He's a network champion as well, from what I've seen, and I'm excited I already see his smile. He's not mad at me going, don't do this. He's ready to go. We're going to dive right in. Ken, welcome into Vision Pros Live.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be live around the world.
Absolutely. I love it. And here he comes with that deep radio broadcaster voice and the presence and strength of a lion. I love it. Ken, tell us, what is your vision?
Well, I've been in commercial real estate for 30 years, and I've had the pleasure of meeting with a lot of young people. And, my vision is really about impact to young people and explaining my industry. And I'm also aware that, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions, are terrified of losing their jobs to AI. And I'm in an industry where AI is going to help us, but I don't think it's going to take our jobs. You sit in a board meeting with a board of directors that's going to spend $200 or $300 million on a real estate project. They can ask Claude, but they want to talk to someone with some gray hair or someone who's actually practiced in the area. And so my vision is to meet with young people and help them understand what a great option this industry is for them. That's why I wrote the book. And The Prescription was so named because I would sit down with young people and go through a diagnostic to learn more about them and what they wanted to do. And if I thought they were right for the industry, I'd write down 6 or 8 things that I wanted them to do in the post meeting. And one day, as a joke, I wrote Prescription at the top and signed it. And it just sort of kept that thing going. And one thing led to another. And here we got a book.
Dude, I love that. I was consulting with somebody a while back who was a firefighter that also had a small startup, and he wanted to do what I did, but he didn't have a degree. And so I was talking to him, and I wrote a degree for him, wrote a diploma. I was like, here it is, brother. Like, run with it. And he laughed, and he said, I want to come visit you. And he ran with it. He took off with his consulting agency, but that's my degree. I also don't have one. That's not what's necessary in the world. It is helpful, by the way, for those of you young people listening. If you know how to network and you know how to have the discipline to stick with it, it's not necessarily a bad idea to go that route too. But I do want to dive in a little bit more on the AI side. We're going to take a little break, but we're going to come back. I'm going to pick Ken's brain about some of the AI principles that are blind spots and often overlooked that can be applied in the world of commercial real estate in the here and now, perhaps, as well as moving forward. Try to dig deep on this one, Ken, and find some of those golden nuggets that as people come back, they can be like, holy crap, I'm glad I heard that today. All right. Welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Callum. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Hey, what's up, my friends? Again, I've got Ken Ashley in the house, and we're going to dive as deep as possible into a couple of AI principles. Depending on how well our conversation goes, I'm also going to see if I can recruit him to come back for a 40 to 60-minute episode where we dive in deep. But today we're going to scratch the surface in the best way possible so you can gain some traction here and now. And of course, go and check out ai.firstclassbusiness.io /depth if you want the secret link, DEPTH, or leave that off and you'll see that I believe that all of you are already AI experts. You have what it takes. You've been training AI for almost 3 decades at this point, and it's very important to know how to leverage it for your own capacity, because it shouldn't leave you behind unless you are like the lumberjack who refuses to use a chainsaw. And that's okay. You're welcome to do that too. You may be the best lumberjack with a real axe that ever lived. But if you do want great guidance on AI, go and check out what we're up to with the AI marketplace. And also lean into great leaders like Ken Ashley, who have decades of experience building with authentic and real intelligence. So Ken, again, thanks for being here. And what should we hit first?
Thanks, Jackson. Well, so if we want to explore AI a little bit, maybe we could talk, Jackson, about low payback versus high payback activities. So in a low payback activity, that's where conventionally most people today are using AI. So to write an agenda, to plan a trip, plan your vacation, to write a first draft of a speech, all of those are great things as long as there's really sort of 2 important subpoints. Number one, we all know we got to check. the information. And number two, we can't get intellectually lazy about these activities. For example,
Yep.
AI is moving very quickly, but today most of us can recognize, when you put something in your favorite AI, whatever it is, Claude, and it spits out, it looks AI-ish, the typeface, the
Yep.
way it's written. And you can prompt, I know, different voices and that sort of thing, but don't be intellectually lazy. In fact, I think that type of AI is really an Ironman supersuit. And so to the extent that you can use AI and you're 100% productive, then maybe you can become 200% productive. So I think that's number one. High payback activity, the way I would describe it is like this. If you've ever been to a great show, let's just pick on Billy Joel for a minute. Billy Joel is a wonderful performer. He plays the piano, he sings, he writes songs, he can tell jokes, he's great on stage. Billy Joel does that very, very well. But what Billy doesn't do is print the tickets, sweep up after the show, change the light bulbs, and set up the mics. So Billy Joel, and the high payback activity for Billy is performing. And so in your life, as listener to this cast, if you can figure out what people will pay you the most to do, what you're best at, what you're most valuable at, and what you enjoy the most, and identify that, the high payback activity, then you will have a very successful and probably very financially successful life. And so AI can augment your high payback activity, and that's a lot harder to figure out, but that's the problem to solve.
Very good. I love that. The low payback versus high payback. That's also something that you in your own life can explore. What does Ken mean by that with an AI, and say, how does this apply to me? All right. It's amazing what types of answers you could get back just by doing something simple like that. And talk to me, let's talk a little bit about the prescription. I'm going to show some AI stuff that I built over the last couple of weeks. Really, guys, everything that I built in total took about 6 hours, and I used the $20 Claude version, by the way. And so it's not something that I have to use Lovable or some sophisticated process. I need to know how to ask great questions and how to do research based on certain industries in order to do what I do. And those are, again, things that will ultimately contribute to your ability to create high payback systems. So talk to me a little bit about the book itself, the prescription. What is that going to do for me if I pick it up and read the first chapter too?
Sure. So the book is divided into 3 sections, and I'm very clear up front that you don't have to read from cover to cover to have a success with the book. In fact, you can look at it, as a Wikipedia of the industry. So the first section describes the industry. A lot of people try to compare commercial real estate to residential real estate, and it's an imperfect comparison. The industries are pretty different. For example, in commercial real estate, people are owning the sticks and bricks to get a return. In residential real estate, we want a place to sleep. So the motivations are totally different. The second part of the book tells people how to go from watching Netflix and sitting on your couch to getting hired. And there's a very distinctive process that I prescribe, I recommend, including 8 things you have to have in your brokerage contract, how commissions are calculated, how to negotiate a deal with a senior broker, how to get in the right place for your career. And then the third is what to do from day one going forward to be successful. So, how do you hold yourself accountable? How do you define what your addressable market is? What do you actually do to sell? And what's the difference between sales and marketing? Selling is speaking and listening with the intent to convince. Marketing is what they think about you before you walk in the room. How do you develop systems around both of those to be successful?
Absolutely. And for some reason, we're getting feedback when I turn my microphone on. I'm not sure if maybe the volume might be a little high, but hopefully we can figure that out while we continue to go forward. Guys, I don't want to distract us from amazing opportunities. Hopefully you're taking some notes on this. These are important principles. And one of the principles that I love that Ken's book talks about, and I haven't read the book, guys, but I can see principles because of the years that I've spent interviewing 2,000 plus great leaders and working as an entrepreneur since I was 21 years old, 18 years now. And so sunk cost story can emphasize the danger of allowing prior investment of time, energy, or ego to trap us in poor decisions. This is one of the greatest things that I see even the most amazing leaders suffer from. So many leaders, for instance, are worried that the next marketer they hire is going to be the problem, or that, oh, they've already tried going on podcasts before, for instance. Let's pick on my industry. Or, you know what, I've worked with salespeople before and they just don't. Let me just be honest with you right now. If you've ever said any of those things, you're being a victim, period. That is a victim mentality. If I didn't hire the right person for marketing, I screwed up as a founder who could have known better. Right. And I have opportunities to learn from that. I don't have to beat myself up either in order to not be a victim, but I need to become accountable. I need to be a great leader who's willing to dive into those things. And so that's something that actually Ken and I will talk about after the show as well. As I mentioned, Ken, I'm going to steal the microphone a little bit just to dive into some of these high payback opportunities that you can dive into with AI, because I want to showcase that what he's talking about, it is, again, something that all of us can dive into. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is something absolutely worth preparing for. So I work with a company called Journey to Wellness with Dr. Shannon and Dr. Justin Pierce, and they specifically help women and men, but I built a women's health assessment. And you cannot qualify this yet. I literally built this on Saturday in a couple of hours after about 4 hours of research during the week previously. And so this is not approved, but you can see that as people go through this assessment and they start to recognize what their symptoms may be that they might be suffering with. Once they get this back to the feedback back from Shannon and Julie and Dr. Justin, then I will know that, okay, everything that we've created is on point. All they have to do is the refinement. I actually did the building with Claude on this and aligned it with their brand. And I'm just going to put in here a fake email address. This doesn't even go to anybody yet because we have to connect this to automation. But watch what happens. When I click show my results, it gives people the opportunity to at least assess and understand what their potential problem is. And they can even go back transparently and decide, you know what, I probably should have added bloating to this, or maybe my aches aren't as, maybe I want the user, I want the patient, if you will, to be able to adjust their own results for themselves and play enough so they start to get more and more safe with the brand, so they can decide, is it worth talking to these doctors and spending $39 for their consultation to get help from a trained professional. This level of transparency is something that so many brands don't have on their front end, and an experience like this allows people to, again, explore, to realize, am I safe in this environment with these people? Shifting gears, I spent less than an hour on this compass that I created for David Nassif. He was on our show. I loved his PDF. It looked like garbage, no offense, David, but he's not going to attract a young audience. And more importantly, my audience speaks Spanish. I speak Spanish fluently. I run a Spanish podcast. I run a Spanish team. I wanted to be able to turn it into a toggle where I can have the English version and the Spanish version, because I know that I was trained by my mother as a little kid to live debt free and to think through my investment strategies. But I know that most of the people that I've met in Central and South America have never been taught these principles. And so the opportunity to make this a tool that is available for both, and that also gets people over to his book if they want to dive deeper, I was like, why not? It won't take me very long. It'd be a great asset for all my friends and family. And then the companies that I work with, I built a system for being able to contact people. And a lot of it's built with the exact same principles that Ken teaches about. Again, I'm gonna go back to his page in this prescriptions of the Blacksmith method and the meat sheet and how to do cold calls properly and how to work a cocktail party. So I've got an entire system built around that. But most people, if they can't see the end in mind, they don't want to do the training. And so I did some industry research over the weekend and decided to ask Claude to go out and find in the mid-tier markets, not near New York or your Miami's, because most people can't relate to that. But if I were a coach, for instance, what might my price point be? How many leads should I have on the top of my funnel? What is my sales cycle going to look like based on industry averages in mid-tier markets? And what should my conversion rates be from marketing qualified to sales qualified to close deals? And for my industry, the podcasters out there, all you indie podcasters like myself, you're never going to make any money on your podcasts if you don't figure out how to increase the top of funnel and also how to pull your podcast in alignment with an actual business plan. And I'm not trying to paint a horror story. I'm actually painting with the averages. And so if you want to be above average, you have to do things that also position you above average, or realize that maybe that's not the best market fit for your brand. So those, again, are pieces that I built in a matter of hours with AI, with a $20 AI system. You can do the same type of things with the right types of guidance. Let's get back on track with you, Ken. Feel free to comment on that. Feel free to bulldoze any direction you want to go.
I think it's very that's great, and the tools that you are providing will have impact as well. And I love the idea of how to price your services, because that's one of the big head scratchers. Certainly, if you're in consulting and then driving success on podcasts, we're moving ahead as a society because we can communicate through situations like this. You think before this existed, how hard it was for us to communicate and to share ideas. So very exciting. Keep up your good work, Jackson.
Thank you, man. I love that. In fact, big shout out to one of my favorite guests ever, Jay Setchell. In fact, I was meeting with him last night. Jay has had near-death experiences several times in his life. He's a Marine veteran, incredible leader, one of the best speakers that I have met. Every time I talk to that man, I get chills. I don't get chills very often anymore because I just get these cool experiences all the time. But man, he is extra special. And I love what you brought up about the deciding on the price points. My friends, there's a lot of people who will teach you go speak on stages and get paid, and less than like 5% of speakers in the world ever make any money on speaking. Does that mean you can't? No. You've got to create the system for yourself on how to do that. And so once again, AI can help with that. I'll show one more final piece. And this is Jay's speaker fee game plan. And he wasn't going to get paid on speaking, but I put this together while I was talking to him during a podcast show. And while we did that, it not only brought up his market research, we're going to go down to comparables here, because he looked at this, he's like, wait, I've never made $10,000 in speaking before. And just because you haven't doesn't mean you can't. Just like somebody who's never been in a car before, has never gone 60 miles per hour. But as soon as you get in, like, life changes. And so comparable speakers, if Jason Redman, Chad Hymas, Jason Hall, and Travis Mills are all demanding or charging this amount of money, then it should be pretty easy for Jay as well to understand his own value and then stand by it confidently, recognizing that, in fact, there's a lot of stages that will not bring him on if he does not have a comparable rate, even though he has the actual value. And then the system went on and built templates for outreach and stuff like that. And again, it's amazing. All I did was take Jay's exact brand and his LinkedIn and ask the AI, hey, can you build a speaker's game plan for Jay based on this information, based on his comparability with the market? And it opened his eyes to something that he had never seen before, and pulled all of his brand assets, his LinkedIn testimonials, et cetera, right into it. So there's so many ways we can help people. There's also ways we can profit on this. And that's one of the things I hope to bring up with Ken on the next interview. So we're going to shut down for today. Ken, fortune cookie style. I'm going to emphasize that. Fortune cookie style, if this was your last chance to provide advice to visionary leaders out there, what would it be?
I think the power of focus, less is more or less. When I was a kid, we used to go out in the back and take the magnifying glass and focus the sun and carve our name in wood. You can do that same thing professionally if you will simply focus. Less is more or less.
I love that. Aligns with The One Thing by Gary Keller. You may be inspired to do the Richard Branson thing, the style I kind of do, like with going all over the place. But in some cases, or in some events in the world, it's very important to do the focus thing as well. In your heart and in your mind, visionaries, where you need to go with this. We're just here to simply guide and help with the process. And we wish you the best. Don't hesitate to connect with Ken Ashley on LinkedIn and everywhere else on social media. Go check out the book as well. I will be checking out the book as well. I can't guarantee I'll buy it. If it's on Audible, I probably will. But I do look forward. Oh, good. I've got one more book I got to get in there. But my friends, the best thing that you can also do, connect with the authors. They are the well that created the glass of water that is the book. And see, if you got somebody who's great in front of you, maximize the opportunity. Say, what can we do that is going to be the most productive and most profitable possible, so you can bless the lives of those people that you love. And we will see you on the next episode of Vision Pros Live. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a vision pro yourself.